Well, we don't have enough copies for today. Last time there was 5 people here. It's a little different. But
we have 8 copies, so we'll kind of.
we can kind of share.
Share
Yeah, we
around.
can pass it on.
I don't think I'll get a copy.
Okay. These are just the plans. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can share that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
If you're moving, I gotta read just a camera.
Oh, seriously.
See you guys.
Seriously?
That's what you want to hear.
You're not escaping.
I've got,
You guys don't have
on my
a computer?
computer.
Okay, that works.
You said?
You guys want to share?
Anybody else with that?
Okay. What we have is Logan's computer, is that okay?
Oh, is it in what? I can,
Well,
I'll move it.
it's up to our Timmy.
That's good. We want to see our Timmy.
Okay.
I can move up here.
No, just sit somewhere. Okay, thank you.
All right, we're ready to start? Y'all ready?
Do you want to just jump right in, or?
Well, I was gonna say, introduce you guys. That's Marcia and Rachel from Charles Outdoor Design, and they've been developing over the past 2 months the landscape design for our entrances. So, go ahead, I guess.
Sure.
They came out with a good concept last time, and then we gave some pointers, and
Yeah, so basically where we're at this time is we had an initial meeting with Artemi and Logan, and then we came up with some ideas, and then we presented those at the last meeting, which some of you guys were here. So today's kind of the presentation that really Rachel's going to head up as far as the revisions went. So that's what we're looking at today.
Yeah. The main things we walked away with from the last meeting were make it more grassy, more modern, fuller. I think those are the 3 biggest things I walked away with. So, without further ado, maybe your packets start with the design or the plant key, and that goes to the overheads, which I don't have in your packets because they're really large. So that will mostly be, you won't really need that this time. It will show you how many of each plant type are at the different locations, but what's going to be more helpful to go through first will be the plant schedule, which is like the 3rd page in your packet. It's going to start with the camellias. Those are the only shrubby sort of plant I have involved in any of these designs, and they're just for the sake of having a green background. They do have the blooms in the fall, which is kind of like a little fun thing to have about them, but overall they're mostly there for the evergreen foliage that they provide. I chose 2 different varieties for the sake of size, because some locations we need a taller piece, and some locations we need something smaller. So these 2 varieties have the same look, but they're going to mature at a different height, so that way they're not going to overgrow their spaces. So those are the 2 camellias there at the top. We're adding some crepe myrtles to some of the sites, just to make that a common tree throughout each entrance. So I have a muscogee and Natchez as some of our additions to the different sites. Further down, you'll see Liriope. There already is some at entrance number 3, the Burnished Woods Drive entrance. So we'll just be adding more Liriope throughout the different locations. Green has some of those little purple blooms in the summer, which they should be blooming right now. I know mine is currently. The next one on that list is the Lamandra Breeze. It's a nice evergreen grass, really kind of bright, happy green. It gets that cream sort of plume pop in this late spring. So we're including that at every location because it does do well in shade and sun. Next down is the Scanthus, also known as Japanese maidenhair grass. It dies back in the winter and it only grows well in full sun, so I've only included it in a few sites. Same with the pink muley grass, also known as sweetgrass.
you said these 2?
Yes. They prefer full sun. They can handle a little bit of shade, but they there's 2 sites that I'm more concerned about including them in, so I didn't include them in, and rather fill in the other grasses for the sake of them doing well. I went simple on the annuals after talking through the modern desire. I did bring a couple pictures of some examples, which I found later on. Where are they here? I'll just pull them up. Very modern. This one's only begonias, but mass plantings tend to be, I don't know if it's bright enough. Mass plantings tend to be more modern. So I have like here a picture of just begonias. Here's a picture of begonias with a backdrop of some green. And then also I have one more here. This is at a golf course. Again, begonias and coleus, which I wasn't copying this, I just happened to find it later on. But tends to be very modern and clean looking, so I was trying to go after that. And in the same way with the winter annuals, we could use 2 plants as well. Go simple, mass plant it, it gives a good pop, a good statement, and then we go with a more modern feel. I think that's it for that plant schedule. So next, I guess we could just go into the pictures of the different entrances. Entrance number one, you should have a picture that looks like this. It's the Murrayfield Drive entrances, which are the ones nearest to us. And this is looking at it, if you were standing on Ashley River Road and looking towards Murrayfield, this is on the right, but it would be mirrored on the left as well. Yeah.
Number 5 is titled.
Number 5 is
It's titled.
Yeah.
Should be Shadowmoss, should be still Shadow and be Sterling.
okay. Thank you. I'll make note of it. I apologize. Thank you.
Did everybody get a 2?
Are you missing a 2?
We got 1.
We got 2 fives.
I didn't look through it
Yeah.
yet.
3 fives.
We got 3 5s, speaking of 5s.
Yeah.
3 5s?
I got
Number
2,
5.
I got 2 5s here.
Oh my gosh, sorry guys, I totally let
I've got
Office
3 5s on
take care
the
of it.
front.
Didn't check out.
I'll trade you a 2 for a 5.
I think
No,
still Shadow's
no.
supposed to be 4.
No, we don't. We just
What
need
was
a
that?
I think still Shadow.
No, it's 5.
Is it 5? And then,
B Sperry and 61 is 4.
If you just read out the intersection names, we can follow you that way.
Yeah, we'll just start with number 1. Does everyone have number 1?
Yeah.
And then if you don't have 1, we'll go from there. So number 1, we've added palmettos. That was one of the requests.
Yeah, do you think those will do all right?
Yes.
Seems pretty shady in that
Yes. Palmettos actually can grow in a forest, so I think they'll do just fine there. We've heard some word from our palmetto source that they've been having a lot of ones die out in actually Shadowmoss lately, so they'll be cautious on planting.
It's not so much a lately thing, it's just in general, it's a low area, so as far as during the rainy season, I mean, they have the potential to get root rot if they're not planted high, so.
So this is what it'll look like on both sides?
Yes, mirrored.
And this in the middle?
That's the median, yes, in the center.
That'll look great. And before we move to number 2,
Mhm.
is there a gazebo in these plans for entrance number 1?
We were not instructed to take care of the gazebo. I think someone else was maybe in charge of that.
Okay.
But yes, it is on the overhead that there is to be one included.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's pretty much, you all can see the second picture of the median. So very grassy. Our Timmy and Bass asked that we included some annuals at the end since that's viewable from the street. So, oh God, that is the wrong thing. All right. number 2 is labeled as entrance number 5. That is probably part of your problem. It should say entrance.
Got 3 fives.
All right.
So this one is number 2 instead of 5, is that right?
Yes, this one right here. I am
Yeah,
so
it's the
sorry.
one that says Shadowmoss Parkway on the side.
Yes, Shadowmoss Parkway.
Shadowmoss Parkway, this is number 2 now. We're gonna change that time.
Well, I can't blame everything on Steve anymore. That was me. Okay. So that one, we pretty much just swapped out grasses for some of the azaleas originally we had. So pretty simple.
So you're taking the azaleas out and you're putting them,
Yeah, Philomandra, just to make it real grassy right there. It kind of lets the height of the crepe myrtles kind of pop, I feel like, but
Yeah.
What do you have behind the sign? Is that something that's already there or something you're putting?
those are camellias.
Okay.
Those are the larger variety,
All right.
like the Kanjiro.
They'll look nice.
Yeah, that would be just real simple. Entrance number 3, that is Burnished Woods and Highway 61. Should have something like that, sort of. Everyone's got that one. So, currently it has just those 2 magnolias, other than the extra large one behind it. But we added the crepe myrtles. I also added a couple palmettos behind the sign. There's actually space right there currently. So I thought, why not tie in palmettos there as well?
We used to have 2 there.
they,
Were they palmettos there?
They died.
They look nice.
I wonder
if you would recommend not putting palmettos, because that's a low area right there. And that ain't still, that's pretty low. There's no place high to really put palmettos. So what if we want to pay for it?
I don't know. Every time y'all flood, I never flood up there. I can bet you it'd be to buy Lowe's in the shopping center with no water. So I don't know if it's a low area.
I don't think it's low there.
I can be surrounded by water and not get out, and I'm dry.
And why did the other 2 palmettos die?
I think they just were neglected because they
did they
don't
die or
have.
did they?
They died.
They died.
When they were
Yeah.
planted, they were not. They do need water when they're first planted.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of water. We don't have an irrigation system there.
We have a problem.
So I think it was the lack of water. I don't mind taking a 5-gallon bucket up there and dumping on it.
We'll have an irrigation system soon.
Okay.
A week from Thursday is the scheduled installation date for the water meter, the tap.
Okay. Good. So they should survive this winter. I think they just died because they never got a chance.
Were they newer?
If they weren't there very long before they died.
Okay, yeah.
These are some pretty big crepe myrtles. Are we required to get them that big?
No, I mean, basically when I'm doing a drawing is I'm trying to make them look at like what it's going to look like.
Eventually.
Yes.
The maturity.
Slash, with some maintenance, of course, because things can get crazier from that.
Well, do you think that's like 5 years down the road, 10 years, 20 years?
The grasses would only probably take a couple years to get filled in.
Those crepe myrtles to get like that, if we get reasonably sized ones, that's gonna take 15 years to get that size, I would think, based on the ones that are in my yard.
I mean, you,
But we can get bigger ones.
yeah, you could buy 30-gallon crepe myrtles and they're 7 to 8 feet tall.
Yeah. They grow decently well. One thing about them, we'd also want to plant them decently high as well because crepe myrtles, I've seen plenty stunted because of getting drowned in the
Yeah,
soil.
it should be in a farm.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think that with the correct planting, they'd probably take off pretty well, especially considering the ones in the other sites. There are some that are in shadier locations, which are going to make them not do as well. But the sunnier sites, they all look like they're doing really well. So I would think that being that it's a sunnier spot, they could do well. Entrance/sign number 4, this is the Bees Ferry Road and Highway 61. This is the one where we have the pergola. We went with black to go with the sleek, modern look. This ties into the fence that's at Burnished Woods behind the sign. It also ties into what we might do for entrance number 6, which we'll get there in a minute.
What do you think of chocolate brown?
Chocolate brown. I mean, you can pick any color, and if it has the right shape, it's gonna feel good.
I thought we just So we needed the Charleston Brown, Charleston Greens is the one we bought.
I think, you can go any direction with color. I
I
think
like that.
black/Charleston green is gonna look a little more modern, but, that's always up for your discussion on deciding.
I like Charleston
A
Green.
little lower.
The lower.
Well, lower. I think a
You know the height of this pergola?
They're not doing it, we can do whatever we want to do with it.
Exactly.
Or
It
can
was,
you
it was more just to show the look of it, than to be accurate on
Yeah.
I like the
the
grass.
perfect size.
That's nice.
And there's no irrigation
These are-
here, so is that why there's grasses?
Yes,
There's
no animals.
So the grasses will do all right without the irrigation, or?
They'll need to be started with water.
Yeah, I think it'd be wise to maybe work out a
Yeah.
watering truck for the first couple of weeks.
For here? Oh,
Just for the initial installation.
truck.
Yeah, or whatever you guys can work out to get water to them for the first
Lynn said
couple
she'd
of
take
weeks.
a bucket down
Take
there.
my bucket down there.
Yeah, as they become used to the soil and root in well, these grasses are gonna be totally fine. They're gonna be very hard.
Maybe we'll have a real rainy season. We've
Yeah.
had one so far.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
I know last time we had talked about when it comes to installing things, maybe the fall would probably be the best time to do so, just so we're not as such an intense season of heat, so that areas like this that may not have irrigation are gonna be a lot more able to take root under less stress.
It's a good idea.
And then they'll have time over winter time to actually establish roots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, entrance number 5, the actual number 5, which is still Shadow Drive, should look like this. Okay.
And it'll look the same on both sides, except the other side won't have the fence.
Right, the other side would just have, I think it has little pine trees,
And it's like, it has a golf course behind it.
yes, yeah, there's like a patch of trees on the golf course.
So are you proposing doing anything to this entrance other than annuals, or is this,
We're,
I mean,
There's grasses.
there's grasses out there, right? Most of these, or
Yes.
you're adding a lot? You want
There's- Currently, the Loriope is kind of spread. We were gonna utilize a lot of that because it's, well, all of it, and rearrange it the correct way. So this is a couple rings. It's kind of hard to tell from the perspective to see the depth of how many grasses there are deep. But yeah, there's the Loriope right after those annuals before the sign, and then there's the Lomandra on both sides, which matches a couple of the other entrances in its layout pretty exactly.
And those camellias behind it?
Yes. And those are the smaller varieties, they won't be too large.
So that's sort of what both sides gonna look like without a fence on it.
Right.
And now our fun entrance.
The fun one. Yeah.
Is that a weeping willow on the left?
Oh, weeping willow.
What is this, what is this tree?
Oh, that's an oak tree. It looks like it's weeping because it's got moss coming down like crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But
It's existing.
it's existing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I figured I could put time into it, but that'd be wasting time coloring it, so. Number 6 here, we've got 2 pictures for this one as well. So I guess, Artemi, this was your idea then, right? With the, adding the second pillar?
Yeah, the second column and kind of wrap it.
Yeah. I think it's super cool. So I went right with it. I was actually surprised last meeting when I was getting questions about it, because I was like, oh, I just thought it was an idea. It looks, I think it's cool. So I came up with the idea, because we were talking on our last meeting about how the cap on the pillar is going to be hard to match, or practically impossible to match. So an idea I had to go in the modern theme is it's going to be pretty simple to match the brick. And so to take off that existing cap and then just do a simple brick laid cap is going to look more modern and clean, simple, and then it'll be easy to reproduce. So that's what I drew in here for this picture. We have,
There is an easement for that existing sign. It looks like that sign's been moved in this rendering.
No, I think it fits in there.
Okay.
It's more to the left of it.
The only thing, so the thing that's different about the bed lines in this picture is where that palmetto is on the left is currently a grass space between the existing bed and then that small, there's like a little ring bed with the dwarf palmetto in it. So I just connected those two right there, where that palmetto is on the left. So we got rid of a little bit of grass and tied the large bed with the small circular bed together.
You know, at Burnish Woods, the car crashed into the fence, right?
And that's why it's missing
Yeah.
on the end.
On the
It's
one
like
side, yeah.
I mean, you could just, I guess, take out the other side, right?
Yeah, that's one idea is to just fill it in with this, fencing stuff.
And it's just,
Take it out and put fencing.
Leave the
that
pillars
slatted
up,
fencing,
yeah.
yeah,
I like that slatted.
that would look great, yeah.
Picket fencing, I'm all right.
I haven't sent it to you.
And one side's probably making it look like
Excuse me, I just want to add, I think, what I'm looking at, this don't look too much different than what it looks like now. I don't see too much more pizzazz than what is there now.
Are you talking about still
These
shadow?
other ones, I don't know, I mean, to me, there's just no pizzazz here. I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
I'm
it.
not a, neighbor Nancy, but I just don't, there's so much more pizzazz with these other ones.
They're also larger with, a lot more room too.
Well, I understand that too.
That was part of-
Would this be pizzazzy?
I'm telling you what, this one looks a little bit more pizzazzy than all of them.
For sure. It's part of,
I mean, there needs to be some pizzazz. We weren't for so long without anything there until I think I opened my mouth up years ago.
You know what, I agree.
This is-
that If we did something like this, then
I
it
mean,
would,
this is
It would
not
kinda
much
hide-
different than what we're looking at now, so
By the fence.
I
It would
mean,
hide the
I
fence.
live on this street.
Because we did one time talk about
I live
putting
on
that
this street,
slatted.
we've been there for
You want what we call
almost
a
9
rail
years.
fence.
I'm just
Picket
looking,
fence, I
this
guess.
one here needs.
Well, some of them already have.
I'm in that 31.
This one
It's
does,
the same
and it
for
looks,
31
and every
years.
time.
It's gotten a little better,
Yes,
but
I'm on this.
if we did the same thing at entrance number 5 that we're doing at entrance 6, then it'll not only look nicer, but it'll also be more consistent with the other entrances.
Maybe just don't build the brick piers,
Yeah,
just
we're not
do the
making,
wood
don't make
fence.
the top of the column, put
Yeah.
replace the
We need
fence.
something here.
Yeah.
are you talking about
Pizzazz.
the structure, creating the structure of the sign differently?
Yeah, for the sign, kind of putting like a
Yeah.
background or fencing behind it to hide the
Is that
ugly
burnished
privacy
wood?
fence.
Part of,
Birchwood's gone, we should turn it into something like this too.
Some of this.
yeah, part of the challenge with this particular space
Something like this
is the
here.
shape of the area and the size of the area. I was trying to go for a similar of a layout as some of the other sites, such as Shadowmoss in 61, which is entrance number 2. It's similar to, but part of the problem too is also the shade. And so I couldn't do some of those other fun grasses. So I went with the simple in order to try to make it as cohesive as possible. But I do think if we could do something with the actual sign that would make it pop, I think it would still feel tied into the other ones that have more pizzazz.
I mean, I'm just wondering if anybody else thought about it, I was thinking, there's no pizzazz, like with the other ones.
These are teeny.
We kind of need to discuss this anyhow, because this is the entrance with the smallest sign of all, has the most traffic to start with too. And we need to spread this out a little more than how square here, it looks like they're just combination. We need to spread it out.
We do have a lot of traffic, there's a lot of people coming down on my
Yeah.
street, and
The thing too is, we gotta get do we have the easement yet on this? Do we have the easement on that side?
Yes.
We have the easement on either side right now, so.
That needs to be worked out first.
I'm sorry if I said something
I
there.
think that's what.
no, you're 100% right.
Yeah. No, I agree. It needs to be said.
And then a hopefully get the easement so we can move it.
Yeah, we could do something like this, but with more narrow columns because it's a smaller space.
I don't know where we want to go to the expensive columns, so.
Yeah, I don't think so. These are pretty cheap columns, there's no expensive cap. This cap
Columns
is
are cheap
just
without the
regular
cap.
brick.
The cap that kills us.
I've got 19 brick columns on my fence at my house, so I know that it's pretty cheap.
So you just like, just basically this
I'm
little
cheap.
squares?
Yeah,
Well, you're not too cheap.
yeah.
He's pretty cheap.
Okay.
All right, any confusion here?
No, I'm just processing, this is great. I'm trying to think if that would change, what that would change for a layout.
Would you still put the, committees behind the sign that you planned, if you put a fence and
I don't
column?
think you'll have room for.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have room behind it just because the bed isn't super deep.
Yeah, we go right up into that.
I wonder if you can put it to the side.
Yeah, we'd probably just spread it wider.
Well, and you can spread wide because if you have a backflow, let's say the very front of that, it has to move to the back of that.
Oh, it was moved to the back?
It needs to move to the back by the fence somewhere.
Would you
Right.
say that's the probably the shadiest entrance of all 6?
It's pretty even with, what's it? Number 2 and 1 on the ends. It's pretty similar.
Because I'm just thinking what we could pull from those into that. What we're not really doing.
More crepe myrtles that are not gonna fit right into that oak tree.
Yeah, because one of the things that was one of our original goals was to have a very similar theme with all 6 entranceways. That's what we were asked. So with this one in particular, with the amount of shade, we're not able to use all of the grasses and all the options that we chose for other entrances just because they wouldn't do well, if that makes sense. So that was some of the challenge that I think we're running into with this particular entrance.
Yeah, I
The
think
the
the other
other
thing.
side does not have that same shade problem,
Right.
but you're trying to.
But you want to balance them out.
Yeah, balance
you know.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that the sign idea is gonna be your best bet on making it stand out more.
I think
And
so.
like what you were saying with how it is the smallest sign. And it has that flat plaque on the bottom, which a lot of the other ones don't have,
It's the only one that does it.
so.
If I'm looking at this right, I think it's either 4.5 or 5.5 bricks wide, the one at entrance 6. So if we did this same look at this entrance and went with 2.5 or 3.5 wide bricks, I think that it would scale. So
It looks like it's not like that, man. Talking about matching all of them, I like to do it. Every one of them, you have to call them.
Burnished wood. Let's knock it down.
somebody
Let's
already
do all the burnished wood. I look at that ugly sign every day. 3-4 times a day sometimes. I'm glad someone hit it.
Yeah,
Is insurance gonna cover it? Well, can they just take it down?
oh, so it was not too long ago then?
No.
That just happened.
Oh my goodness.
I think it needs to stay up there because it hides the meter behind there, and it's gonna hide the backflow behind there. There's a lot of stuff behind there. You look behind that sign over there.
There was
There's a lot of
mention,
stuff behind that sign that.
They put stuff there, and maybe if it wasn't there, they wouldn't put stuff.
And there's gonna be a backflow back
Back
behind my
behind
sign soon.
The meter for all those lights is back there.
Yeah, but there's still a sign there. Nobody-
yes, that's what
I
I was
mean,
missing right there.
Here's that baby, right? What if we just like kept the columns at the end and took all this stuff out? I mean, this is already gone, this side.
And this group will continue the fencing in there?
Maybe add some fencing on those sides instead of, and just take
And
these,
get the insurance company to pay for it.
take it out. Yeah.
I prefer that than building a.
And paint the fence white instead of this god-awful boot brown that it already is.
Right.
It's the only one that's brown.
makes it unique and something.
Gray, well, it looks like big gray.
They're pretty cheap.
Maybe because it's so dirty.
Thankfully, this is a black painted.
Yeah, that's
So
what
it's
it's
not
all
gonna
about.
be a rough and general, it's gonna be pretty flat.
So I'll,
Put the good back out.
But this would still hide the backflow, wouldn't it?
It'll hide it because it's raised up. I think backflow, I don't know which side it's gonna go.
Yeah, this way.
Okay, so I'll probably keep hiding behind
well, with
the
that meter and all that one.
They did that.
Yeah, they're talking about that.
It's in this one.
Yes,
Yeah, we better go look at it.
and then you got a meter, you got,
Right.
you have a rain
Right,
register,
bringing it all.
and have all that stuff there too.
The meters are already on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I'm talking about for irrigation. You gotta put a rain
A little bit different.
Well, yeah, it's just, we gotta look at it. For what it's saying.
Do you have a,
But then you go,
excuse me, I don't remember your name.
sorry, Rachel.
Oh, Rachel, you have a drawing of the right side of Still Shadow and Peace Ferry. We have one on the left here, but I just wondered
Correct,
if you have.
no, I did not draw one on the road.
It would be symmetrical, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah, but there's more room on, as you look on the right coming in than you others,
Yeah,
so.
right.
True.
And that needs to be the focus and try to bring that in tune with the other, in my
Right.
opinion.
And part of trying to make it match on both sides, regardless of the extra space that's behind the right side, was kind of what we needed to aim for. Because if I made the other one bigger in its design, it would look kind of funny to be going in and you see larger and smaller. So even though the other one has more open space, I was aiming to focus on the bed as if it was the same exact size. And the signs, I don't believe, are perfectly exact in their distance, but they're pretty close to it.
Right.
And so I was trying to pretend like a sign was marking the bed just like it is on this side. But yes, in the sense, and she just brought this up, I thought, it was fun. Do you mind sharing your thought on that? We'll speak up.
So my thought is, you're trying to duplicate this look with the fence on this entrance, but you're not gonna get the same aesthetic because you've got this person's fence behind you.
Right.
So I think trying to duplicate that is really not the answer maybe, because you really have to line it up with the fence and the slats in the fence, otherwise you've got a lot going on, and it's gonna look flat, and it's not gonna pop the way you think it's gonna pop.
So essentially the brick columns would look really great, but having a black slatted fence in front of another fence might be, it might not look as nice because there's not a lot of space between the black slats and then another fence.
You don't think it would kind of hide that plain?
I think that the circular sign would, where that is, and,
You mean like raise it up or something? Because
no.
there's a circular sign there already.
Right, but I mean, that would be on the black part of the fence, or, the black part of the sign, right, it'd be put on there. I think the biggest point to take away from what she's saying is that it is gonna look still a little flat on that side, just because it would be slatted fence in front of the fence. The other side's gonna look totally fine,
Yeah.
you know, it's fine and great. But it's just a point worth considering.
But both of those signs probably need to be lifted up. All right.
Probably, yes. Well, and just, if possible, just made a bigger sign to match the size of the other ones. Any other thoughts? I know you guys were chatting a little bit, I didn't know if you had anything you want to share.
I think we're from entrance 6.
Entrance 6. That's right, we didn't really talk through this one. This one is unique because the bed is such a unique shape. And the sign being the shape that it is.
And that's one of the color, huh?
Yes.
Only on the right side.
Currently, yes. So the idea would be to duplicate that pillar, curve the sign around. It is kind of a curved forward sort of look. We added palmettos to this site. I transplanted one of the crepe myrtles out of its place to give room for the palmettos. Other than that, it's grasses and annuals, a couple camellias as some background greenery.
That's nice, I like it.
And then the only other plant that's existing there that I left is that dwarf palmetto, the fairy quinine.
Going back to entrance 5, there is a little bit of a arch on that existing wooden fence. So if we did something like this, it may kind of blend in with that existing arch. So,
Yeah.
but I agree that it's
Oh, you're gonna
pretty
buy.
plain Jane and no pizzazz, but
Maybe you plant vines on that black fence.
Say again?
Plant vines or something to cover up.
To cover the
Yeah.
fence, well then the homeowner could come in and spray the fence and kill the vines, there's nothing we can do about it. It's on
No,
us.
well, you put
on this.
Oh, okay.
But that one's always been a challenge. I would say the majority of the traffic that's going in that entrance comes in and turns left off of Beast Ferry onto Steel Shadow. Probably 85% of the traffic comes in.
From the Glen.
Even though you don't need, even though it's going to be hard to match, I think if you turn in and what's to the right and really make it pop, I'm not so sure you have to match it on the left.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean, we drive out.
And it's always been a neglected entrance. And it has been, I've been here 31
This
years.
one's less nice.
It's just because of the shape of the property and a lot of that. So it's a challenge, but I think it's a good one. And I think if that right side really popped, I'm not so sure the left would be
All
terrible.
right. Well,
That's a tough entrance because we don't own the other side.
Oh, it is, yeah. But you can do a lot with the right and really make it pop out and the whole thing there, and you wouldn't even notice the left.
I think Rachel and Marshall can look
I
at it.
agree with you on that, Bill.
Yeah.
I do.
Come up with an idea.
I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, this is great. I love the plants.
Very helpful.
I don't need for documentation.
Do you mind if I take these home?
No, yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna have additional stuff in here.
I'll put it right there.
Thank you for coming. Thanks for sparking our creativity.
We'll be in touch, Arts and Nature. We'll be in touch.
Okay, yes.
Stuff in the thing. We should paint it, no matter what we decide, what was ever left. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
The worst.
Oh, there. Let's go ahead for a minute. Yeah.
We gotta do something about the city, Rick, but next month, I'm gonna bring in name tags and we'll switch everybody up. Because the guys are always on that side, Matt and I are always on this side.
You know, one time I've been sitting over by the back, so I've sat on the wrong side. They go,
Well, see, I missed 2 meetings, so.
Now, you probably was sitting right there. It's the camera.
Anytime you want.
I'll put you down in there.
Okay.
All right, so the second half of the meeting, we're gonna have Steve and Dennis Abbott from First Residential kind of give us a presentation and about the management company that we currently have and see if we can get another year with you guys. 2 or 3.
We love that.
You want to start off and
Ready for?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go around and introduce
Yeah, that's a
ourselves.
good idea.
Okay, I'm Lynn Bennett.
Rebecca O'Brady and treasurer.
Our team Shelton, president.
Mike Duck, nothing.
Gene Collins. John Nelson.
Tim Smith, vice president.
We're all nothings, most of us.
You guys are here for fun of it.
We're busy.
Tell me your neighbors. We're not
So I'm Dennis Abbott, I'm the president of the Carolinas for First Service Residential. You guys know Steve, Steve's president of the Charleston for the Charleston market for First Service Residential.
Well, you guys know us from going way, way back. Kind of just a 30,000-foot view to kind of put it in a small-ish package. We only manage homeowners associations. This is all we do. That's all I've done since back when I had really good hair. Been a long time. The approach that we bring is that if we are doing our job well, you don't have, or you shouldn't have to have that much to do in here. The approach is really three general areas that a management company does in cooperation with the board. Of course, that's management of your accounting and collections processes. Your board has been heavily involved in all of those, and we absolutely welcome that. We want you to watch what's going on. Everybody knows what happens if you don't. So we keep those, we want to keep your attention on those numbers and keep you involved in our website, up in our business to get all that done. Second area is obviously maintenance and management of the vendors that take care of the community. We're one of those. We want to make sure we're doing a great job, and your vendors are as well. And that's all the way out from the pond vendor landscape, which, you know, we don't have a whole heck of a lot of moving parts out here in that area, but we want to make sure that everything that is happening to a very high standard. We employ a staff horticulturist who can, at your interest, come in and get his nose in the landscaper's business and the pond vendor's business and bring additional ideas that help. We all know some of the challenges that you have in this area: drainage, turf management, lake and pond management, water management. Could go on down that list. We want to bring you solutions. Anytime you have interest and needs in those areas, we want to be able to bring in those experts, both from our in-house on our own team and then from outside sources. The third area is, if you will, the covenants enforcement. I know we've had challenges in that in the past where, let's say, previous folks who sat at this table had some of the same frustrations as you and made some decisions that weren't necessarily well received in the community, perhaps, depending on one's perspective on that. Our role is to take what you wish to see enforced in the community, as long as it's, of course, in compliance with your covenants, and take that out into the streets, literally and figuratively, and help you come up with a plan that enforces the rules. But all of those three areas are wrapped in a communications umbrella, if you will. If we are doing our job well, we are communicating to you and with you, and there should be no confusion in our various roles in that. And the neighbors in general, the folks who are here today are represented, and then of course everybody in the neighborhood feels a sense of community and not this oppressive big brotherly thumb that is on them to do these sorts of things. So there's a way that you can handle enforcement of rules, even the gray and arbitrary decisions around us, package it in kindness and communication and build that sense of community out there. So that's the 30,000-foot view of what we do for you and with you in that role. We put together policies for collections, enforcement, inspections, and communications so that we're all literally and figuratively on the same page in those areas. And where we start to deviate, etc., we encourage you to throw an arm around our shoulder or a punch in the shoulder, as the case may be, and straighten us out and help us deliver exactly what it is you want to see in your community.
I think the key to it is a partnership. Our company, along with you, what you want to accomplish in your community, and working shoulder to shoulder. Our role is as a trusted advisor to give you guidance and direction. We make recommendations to you, but at the end of the day, the final decision as to what's going to happen is with the board. And you can either accept our recommendation or go in a different direction, and that happens sometimes. And what we do is take your decisions and then we implement them out into the community. And that is our role. We don't have any power of attorney or anything like that, obviously. So we're here to serve you and act on your direction and at your pleasure. I'm more than happy to, I'm sure some of you probably have some questions about First Service Residential and how this works and differences and that we'll be bringing to the table. And am I correct in that assumption?
The one thing I guess that we as a board discussed during our last meeting is we just have never approached, you guys have a $15 a month service charge on our delinquent accounts. Would it be possible for us to maybe reduce that to $10? Is there any negotiation there, for us in that fee that you guys charge?
Well, what are we currently, we're 15 right now, is that what we're saying in the proposal? Yeah. And that covers not only the oversight and supervision of it, but also obviously the letter, and anytime it's in the letter, there's a phone call. It's typically a 10 or 15-minute phone call. $10 doesn't really cover cost, really $15 doesn't either. It's something we're more than happy to be open to and have a discussion on. I don't know how much of their delinquency there is. It depends on what the volume is for the level of delinquency as to how much
It
we can
varies.
have.
We currently sit around 4%, a little bit under 4%.
We're trimming it down a lot.
And, I will say that our first month, and unfortunately, it's actually something that really irritates me is, for whatever reason, people in Shadowmoss cannot manage to pay their bills on time. And that first month, unfortunately, tends to be about 25%.
Yeah, I assure you, it has nothing to do with Shadowmoss. One of the things I found in this business, I've been doing it for 30 years, is same issues in every community, just different faces behind the community. I met with some folks earlier today, and they have the same issues. People, why don't they pay on time? And so it happens in every community. Some are higher percentage than others, but it's same people doing the same things, or different people doing the same things in other communities. So it's not unique to Shadowmoss.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking about it. We have a set monthly fee. What's covered in that fee? So you're starting to charge, it's a charge to the delinquent instead of the HOA.
Correct.
But that's more money in your pocket, is that right?
Correct, for the more work.
That's the way I see it. We're paying you already to do the work, and you charge the delinquent even more so that you break your pockets and bust your pockets.
Yeah, that's a great, I'm assuming you're asking why that is.
Well, you explained, try to do anyway.
Well, let me go a little bit further. I don't know of any company that can survive providing unlimited services for a set fee, for a limited fee. If you find a company that can survive doing that, I'll show you a company that's going to go out of business in a few years. So the contract that you have doesn't say we'll do anything and everything you want us to do for a set fee. Because whenever we go into something, we have discussions, we want to understand sort of what the repetitive month-to-month is. You don't know how many delinquencies you're going to have. And so what you do is we can certainly build it into a management fee, a set fee. Probably what happens is you'll pay for some services that you may not receive. And so certain services like that can have ebbs and flows up and down. That is a net zero cost to the association, isn't it? Yeah. So why would you want to pay, as a homeowner who's paying your assessments on time, why would you want to pay higher management fees in order for us to, the time we have to spend in dealing with a homeowner who isn't paying? That homeowner who isn't paying, they should be the ones paying for our time associated with trying to get the money from them.
And see, I understand that.
Yes.
I just wanted to hear you say it,
Right.
because I knew that's what it was. It looks like it's our money on the financial report.
The balance sheet shows it as a payable.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not our money, it belongs to the homeowner, but the homeowner doesn't always even pay it.
They don't always understand that
If the
concept.
homeowner doesn't pay, are we required to pay it for him?
If the board, we don't put this, our management, let me rewind that whole sentence and try this in English. Our management agreement says that it is paid by the delinquent owner through the association.
But
So
if they don't pay it for whatever reason, are we required to pay it for them?
if the board, only
That's why it's
in
on
the
our
rare,
balance sheet.
only in the rare situation that the board,
A bankruptcy or something, of
Yeah.
that nature.
if we are continually pursuing this, and let's say that the board says, you know what, this gentleman's really nice, he doesn't pay his bills, pick on you because you're here.
That's okay. I can handle it if you go too far, I'll tell you.
Hypothetically, because I don't want to take it out on the woodshed. Hypothetically, he doesn't pay his assessment, and the board says, we're going to go ahead and just waive all that. We would work with the board, and we have before, to where we'll either split, that done this with Rebecca a few times, we'll split the cost and time and break that up, where we're not gonna ask the association board to eat it all, but mostly we ask the board to let us continually manage the collections process. Now, that said, you're in a unique situation because Rebecca and your board actively take a role in small claims court. You go and do them yourself. You file your own lien to do those yourself. So you're taking
Future boards may not do that.
Right.
Because we're fortunate to have somebody who's volunteered to do that and to.
And it's good at it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
not
you're
to act as an attorney, but to,
You could never leave, Rebecca. In the state.
yeah, but, you know, future boards may revert back to where we need to engage legal counsel and do the whole lien foreclosure business, and that's distasteful to a lot of people.
Right.
Question, did First Residential have that same find homeowners directly philosophy, or no?
Yes, no one's, it's not a fine, it's a administrative cost for the work we have to do to try to get the money collected. But the answer to your question is yes, because that philosophy of why should you pay higher management fees for the homeowner who hasn't paid? The homeowner who doesn't pay, that should be their expense. It's like a collection fee.
Yeah, there's two sides to that, because if we charge the delinquent fees, our admin fees ourselves, then we would have the way to negotiate with the homeowner in a hardship case, for example. Today, we can't do that. We have to come to you guys and say, hey, can you work with us here? And to Steve's credit, he's done that on numerous occasions, but it's just one more step in the process that, you know, it's just a different philosophy of some companies charge an admin fee directly to our members and others don't.
Well, I think what some others do is that they take a percentage of your interest charges, correct?
Actually, what they do is they just charge higher management fees, or they're charging a set delinquent rate that the whole association has to bear the cost of, not the delinquent homeowner. Those that have paid are bearing the cost.
And we're open to doing that if that's your preference, is to charge you higher management fees and not charge you the collection fees where the paying members are covering those.
That might be the only way we can get a real apples to apples comparison, because it's right now, we've got apples and we've got oranges. Because some companies, I don't know if are there any others that do the admin fee?
Mhm.
Okay, so some companies do business directly with our customers. I mean, we consider these people our customers, and others don't. So that might be
But
the only way to
those
get
that
an apples
don't
to
are
apples
charging a
comparison.
much higher rate to all of us. They're charging everybody
We're all paying
for
for it.
that.
That's what he pointed out earlier, is that those that are delinquent actually pays the bill instead of, you know, this man is
Yeah,
paying.
and I don't
this
mind
on
that,
top.
except that it really, when you look at it, if they don't pay, it's on our balance sheet. And eventually we pay it if they don't, unless we take them to court.
Which
We
you've
do.
been very
That is,
effective.
like I said, we may not have her forever, and I don't see an easy way out of it.
And that's what the foreclosure is for as
Yeah.
well, which,
And
and one
it's
day
so
this
easy
board may
way
have
out
to
of
vote a foreclosure, because some people, even with judgments against
It's
them.
on our balance sheet, so it definitely is our cost,
Well,
even
we are
until they
all-
pay it.
As Dennis said, we are your partner in the process. Yes, we get an administrative fee for folks who are delinquent. And from a few feet away, it looks like we want everybody to be delinquent because $15, $15, right? But we have to account for that every month. And you'll see in Logan's reports, his delinquency reports, and then you get messages from Andrea Toro every month that says, what is the status of all these accounts? So if it looks like that report shows, you know what, it looks like First Service Residential Center on their feet up for 6 months, we're going to be on the chopping block for that. So we move through a process with this, at this board's direction, the collections policy says letter 1, followed by letter 2, followed by letter 3, followed by lien, which so far, as you said, Rebecca handles, followed by revisiting this to go to small claims court. That's been the policy here, and then frankly, most every community that we manage. And it's highly effective. As you see in the first month, 25% of the people may be delinquent. That's probably a general statistic. You can spread it over the Charleston Tri-County area. But then the next month it's half that, and the next month it's half that, and the next month it's half that. We're down to 2 or 3 accounts that need to go to small claims court in that process. which she handles, and of those 2 or 3, 1.5 are going to actually pay that without going into some big payment plan process. But that's one of the key points is we are people working with people. And we want to put folks who can't afford this, with your permission, on a payment plan that gets it done. And in those occasions where we're down to the fine points and an owner says, look, I'd like to get done in 3 months, will you waive these fees? Yes, and you know this, I've done this.
So you're actually doing some of those, I thought Rebecca was doing payment plans.
Understand something, whatever I do, I have to let Logan know. So I've often said this, it's not just me.
Okay,
Whatever I do, he's involved in.
okay.
So
they-
even
they're
the court
they're
stuff, he
sending
has to get the
payments.
court stuff and send it to me.
Okay.
So, yeah, you see my name and I make the report, but understand Logan's
When
just
he
as
goes to
involved as
court,
I am.
It's his responsibility.
You just
Can't
start-
blame it on Logan, is that what it is?
You're just not paying for a lawyer to do that for us.
To change something now, I made a call today to your office. I want to see how long it take y'all to respond back. I listened to your automated system 3 or 4 times, kept calling back, hitting the button, hitting 0, got nobody. Leave your name. I leave my name. Hour later, I call back. Still can't get through. So I pushed all the buttons and finally got hold of somebody. And
It's
the
a
little girl said, well, everybody's busy right now, and says, and I told her who I was, and I was on the board. Well, hold on, I'll see if I can get somebody. I asked for either one of y'all first. Then I asked for Logan, and I finally got through to Logan. But your system is really terrible. I mean,
I'll have to
customers call, people call all the time, I come tell, I say, we call them, we can't get through to them. We sit on, So it's proof fact, I did it today. I just want to see how long. I've called other companies and
They actually have a person that actually answers the phone.
they immediately pick up.
Well, there are a couple points that I'd like to bring up to that. First, if you haven't seen the color of my face change to bright red, that's not supposed to happen, and I don't need to tell you that, because my #1 pet peeve is when I call somebody, I want an answer right now. So I built that phone system, and I put that in place so that it rings out in, let's call it concentric circles. You call in and you press 1 through 3 if you want an accounting-related question, covenants enforcement, a pool key or amenity, whatever the choice you made, it goes to a very small queue, a small ring of people who are supposed to answer that question. On the very odd chance that they are, and I'm going to say that to my own embarrassment, on the very odd chance that those 3 people or 4 people are on the phone, it rings outward to 8 and 10 people. And if all of those folks, the 8 or 10 people, are on the phone, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. No, I shouldn't expect anyone at this table to. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to go and find out. One of the things that I did and built into the system was accountability. Every phone call is recorded, so it's physically recorded. If you talk to my staff, there was a recording, it tells you that on the message. But also the caller ID, so I can see when you called, what did you press 1? In 1 minute, if you're on hold for 1 minute, you get my voice again and it invites you to get a call back. Unfortunately, that puts you back in that second ring. And if I have a group of, I'm over-explaining, but if I have a group of people who are not attending to that telephone system, they're going to get a little bit more than talking to about that, because it's just not supposed to work like that.
Well, they said the automated came on and said, you can give us your name and stuff, we'll call you back in 14 minutes.
14?
Yeah, didn't happen. Called back and then I got this girl, and she finally put me through, and I did talk to Logan, so I got through to him. But
Well, that is embarrassing, but that is something I can monitor and fix. I'm sorry that you had to bring it up.
That's probably the second biggest complaint we get, is
Yeah.
that they can't get.
You know, the problem is that I can echo exactly what John just said, because Mike needed the federal ID number to get the meter that we've been talking about, you weren't here, for the locations, we're putting in a water meter.
Mhm.
And I needed to get in touch with Logan. I called, leave a message, Logan I finally got, I punched several numbers, I finally got a person. Well, I'll have him get back, Logan called me back. He said, why didn't you email me? I can even answer the email more quickly. Why do I have to email somebody when you've got a phone that you can talk to a real live person? I had one of my tasks as we were starting to look at various management companies for this next year, the new contracts. 2 of those companies had live people answer the telephone. Why not?
Well, that's a.
And the first 1 or 2 rings, a live person answered that phone.
One of the things in this partnership with First Service Residential that attracted me to partnering with First Service Residential is they have what you described. Now, we can do that. I just need more people. But the telephone call center, I won't take anything from what Dennis can tell you about that, but it's a very all-encompassing system that is intended to prevent the very frustration you've seen and you've heard from owners about.
Well, I've experienced it. I was one of your delinquent payers this year. I sent my check in time, and I tried to call when I got my delinquent notice. A delinquent message, and I will say that it was probably the next day before they called me back and said they never got my check, even though I had a check number. So I've dealt with it too. It's, you know, you're irritated because you know you've done something, so it's probably not the nicest person you really want to be. So I had to wait and die. And it was just interesting that I also had a neighbor whose check didn't make it through to you as well. So I don't know what happened. I paid the roots of the check, paid the penalty, but I was short 33 cents, and I'm going to make that up.
We just wrote it off.
Sure, apparently I missed the 33 cents.
If you owe 33 cents, you're gonna get.
I am going to get that 30, they wrote it off, but I did not know it was 33 cents. And then of course a $35 check. I just got payment on that check, which is not a cheap thing to do.
If it's less than 10, they don't.
Look,
So it's just,
quick do
it was
you
just
answer your
frustrating.
emails?
Yeah, just go to a bank.
Do you answer your emails right away as soon as they come in?
Yeah, usually, you know, I mentioned emails, our policy is within 24 business days or
And you
24
know, I talked to
hours.
her about, she said, look, could have been the
I'm usually
postal
pretty
service,
good
it
about
could have been the postal
answering
service.
within that
And I do my bills
Trying
twice
to go
a
along
month.
with what he said.
And so I'm sure I did
The
it with other
emails
bills
you
that I
need
didn't
an
have
answer
any
right
problem
away.
with.
Can
So,
you do that?
I just,
You know, I don't really give out
And
my
the
cell
neighbors
phone
are
number.
notorious for being late, so I don't believe him.
I was gonna address Tim and
No,
John.
just
I
trying
called
to
the
find
First
out.
Service Residential 1-800 number, they answered within 2 minutes. Our last person came online. So if you can set up a system where that 1-800 number, I guess she's in Myrtle Beach or wherever she is.
It's an 855 number.
It's actually in Florida. so-
In Florida, the
We
call
have two.
center, she said the Charleston's not on their system yet, but if they
That
can be
sounds
synced or something.
Yeah, so that will happen first quarter of 2020. What happens, we have a customer care center, we have 2. One is in Florida and one is in Nevada. So when we have hurricanes in Florida or there's a power outage, say in Nevada, everything moves over to Florida. And these are all First Service Residential Associates. It's not a third-party company that we contract with. So part of our technology that we'll be implementing is our proprietary software called Connect. And within Connect, part of that technology, we answer frequently asked questions about your community. It's a series of 700 questions that we ask about every single community. Now, not every question is applicable to every community, but most communities have roughly about 400 questions. And so our customer care center has access to all those. So it could be everything from what's the due date for the assessments to what day is garbage pickup, what are the pool hours for the pool, whatever the case may be. And so when you call that, they pull up the information from your community, and we have an 83% success rate and been able to answer the questions that the calls that people come in through the customer care center. Well, whatever questions or not they can't answer at the customer care center, it's listed as an open call. Your community manager gets an email saying you have an open call for Shadowmoss. He goes into the system, will see who called, what time they called, what the question was, and then we'll call the homeowner back and we'll close out that call. You as a board will get a report on all those calls that came into the customer care center, who called, what time they called, when their call was returned, and that sort of thing. We're constantly updating those questions so we can monitor and say, we're getting a lot of calls about this particular subject. So we'll go in and we'll update the information that the customer care center has about that. Because because they weren't able to answer a lot of calls, say about maybe architectural review. And so we'll update our questions and answers for that, so they'll be able to help people better. So it's an evolving process, and it's a great system that works very, very well.
And you're going to move that over?
Yes, that's first quarter of 2020 is when we have to first get the technology set up, the Connect software, and load up all the information, and because that's what the customer care center uses.
Is that in the contract that we just?
Yes, that's included in the contract.
The whole goal of that system is to prevent exactly what you're talking about here. And it's as
So
big
you have
as,
average speed of answer parameters that you manage to?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you have average speed of answer parameters that you manage to?
Yeah, I get reports from the customer care center.
What are those parameters?
We want to have a 90% success rate returning or being able to answer the calls that come into the customer care center, so that there's only 10% of those that have to be called back. As far as the time goes when they're answered, our goal is within the 2 minutes is that you get an answer.
Within 2 minutes?
Yes.
What is your percentage now, though? You said that's in the future. What is your percentage on that question?
Well, that's our goal, is 2 minutes right now. In the Carolinas, we are averaging 2 minutes and 47 seconds on average.
I think you was asking the 86, we're at 86%, right, of answering that first.
Your current average.
Oh, our current average is 86% of the folks who call in, we're able to answer their calls. And so we're very close to our 90%.
Question. Right.
Yeah. Excuse me, that's correct. Not answer their question that they're calling about through the customer care center.
Can I be real honest and frank about something here? I own a phone company. I've been designing phone companies and call centers. Suncom was our biggest call center customer. We had 500 agents here and in Myrtle Beach. Your phone system is substandard. If you call Gold Crown, you'll see, do it tomorrow, and then call yours. Call your number, call Gold Crown. Gold Crown answers before the phone rings. And I know that because I've called them a couple of times. So I'm just telling you, 2 minutes and all that. How many calls do you get, do you know?
In the Carolinas?
Yeah.
For the Carolinas, last month we had over 10,000 phone calls going into the customer care center, just for the Carolinas.
And you wasted 333 hours of people's time during that time period.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I guess you could look at it also that 90% of those people got their answers to their questions within 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
It depends on how you look at it.
Yep.
Glass half empty or half full.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've worked for AT&T, which is the largest company in the history of mankind, for 20 years before I started this company. It is a bona fide, I mean, we contract directly with bandwidth.com, and, you know, a billing system that has all of the sure tax engine and make sure we're doing all the telecom taxes properly, and we design call centers. And your phone system is substandard, I'm just telling you, and I'm hoping that you'll take that as an action.
We take it as constructive criticism, absolutely, and that's and we'll take this information back, and we're going to have a discussion with our staff. If I'm correct, Steve, the phone system that we have, we can get your telephone number, we can find out when those calls came in, who it was routed to, and who the message was left with, and what we can go to that person and say, why didn't you call them back? What's going on? So those are things that
That's the new service, you can't do that right now.
No, we can do that right now.
Yeah, that system that we've got, Mike, is fairly basic. It's called an asterisk system. I'm sure you're familiar.
I'm sure,
And,
I'm very familiar with that.
It's an asterisk. It's only as good as the system you put together
It's
as
been
people
designed.
who lift the handset.
Yeah, that's freeware.
Yeah, so part of First Service Residential is we onboard some of our processes, our resources, our technology. There'll be a new phone system put in into the office here that'll be tied into our national phone system. So if somebody calls a manager, for instance, calls are forwarded, and it's not answered, be forwarded to the customer care center so somebody can help them.
Right.
So our goal is obviously 90% of the people, their questions are answered. But we can have all the calls going there, but we don't want to do that. We want to have the local folks engaged as well.
I would recommend that you both call 2 numbers tomorrow, the Old Crown and your own phone number. See what you see for yourself. Because people do like to be answered immediately and handled so that they can get on with their life.
Appreciate
Yeah, I mean,
the
and I'm
feedback.
hoping that you'll take that as a way to,
Absolutely.
you know, whenever we lose a deal, we go and do a debrief. I'm doing that on Thursday of next week. We lost a major deal with the school district, and, you know, we're not going to protest or anything. We're going to say, what could we have done better?
Absolutely. Well, one of our core values is improve it. And we're constantly looking to how we can get better. No company is perfect, and we're no exception to that. We're constantly looking for where are areas that we need to improve on. How can we do better at what we do? So we'll take that and go back. What you're hearing, though, is 2 presidents of the company saying, your experience is not acceptable to us, and we will address it.
Well, I have 2 presidents here. I did want to, you're going to blush, Logan. I did want to praise Logan's handling, especially of the finances. He's done a wonderful job of helping, especially me get vendor prices a lot cheaper than I've been finding. So, yeah, Logan.
That's 10%.
Well, my check tomorrow.
What other questions might you folks have? We can talk all night
Well, is there-
about first service residential.
I'm curious to know what your perspective is back to the $15 a month admin fee. Is there a downside to, well, first of all, do you happen to know what the revenue is from Shadowmoss on an annual basis for that admin fee?
No, it's a
Do
tough
you
one.
know?
Let-
It's usually, well, if you don't count the suite, if you count the liability, it's probably around, I would say $6,000.
Okay. Is there a downside to doing it the other way?
Well, let me offer you this. Number one, we don't get paid unless we don't earn that $15. We earn it, it's not given to us. So we don't charge the $15 unless we take some action to collect.
Right.
So there is an incentive for us to pursue collections and keep them low for you versus I'm getting my money whether I do anything or not. So
But is there a downside to doing it the other way? For us?
For you?
Yeah, for us.
Yes,
What is it?
the homeowner who pays their bills on a timely basis, they are going to pay additional fees to go after the homeowner who does not pay on a timely basis.
And I can also tell you, without that fee, I think a lot more people would not pay us. I think when they start getting that
So-
$15 a month every month, they realize it's in my best interest to pay this before it gets too expensive.
Would we be able to charge a $15 admin fee where we get that revenue?
And then who's going to handle the finances, because it's not going to be me. Somebody's got to handle the other end. I keep trying to get through to you, it's not just me. They've got to go handle all of the actual accounting finances that come along with these delinquent accounts.
Would the same system do that if we set it up that way? I mean, what's the difference in you getting the revenue and us getting the revenue?
Because we're doing the work.
No, I'm saying if we do the work, you can set the sync system up, can you not, to have that?
So you're volunteering, Mike, to do all the mailings, to gather all the financial records that are necessary for a court case. You're going to sit there and you're going to coordinate every piece of paper that comes in from the court system. You're volunteering for that, because I'm not. I'm just letting you know there's work that they're doing over there. I'm not doing it. I don't get paid by this association. It's not going to happen.
You just charge $150 per delinquent, no
Per
matter what it takes.
For every month.
Huh?
Per month.
For
Okay.
each action we take, there's a $15 fee. The other thing that you're doing with
It's a
that money,
monthly fee until it's paid in full, and it accrues interest and penalties.
We
during
could
the time.
change this. The interest and penalties are from us. That's us.
That is our revenue.
that's
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
Now,
Why
if
don't we
we
double
wanted
that?
to do less than, if we didn't want them charging 15 a month, we can tell them only bill every 5 or 6 months. Again, we will not get paid as association if we do that.
It's a psychology, I dare use the word game. You know, people need to perceive that this is a bill that is a higher priority than your cell phone bill or Carrabba's. You know, you want the owners to perceive that the association is a serious thing. And And it's unfortunate, there's a gap in my argument there, $15, $15, $15, 165, or whatever it is you're charging for a lien. And then much more than that if you go to an attorney for small claims court. Now, arguably you can get some legal guidance on this, and maybe you could charge some sort of a process and handling fee, although you don't want to charge for legal services under Rebecca doing her work. But you may be able to, I haven't looked at the covenants before we came in here, but there is interest and/or delinquency fees that flow into the association. I almost got to it before I did my buttons here to see if it works.
It's 14%.
This just dawned on me. If you don't pay your HOA fee, it's a $15 fee, first month that you miss.
When we get to the fourth month, I slap $100, and Logan can
How
back
come
me up
I
on
gotta
this.
charge $17.33?
Because you're special.
$22.33 is association interest. It's not. It's association interest. That is our portion, Lynn.
So it really is more than $15.
We have,
Everybody pays that, or I'm the
And-
only one that pays
no,
that?
everybody.
You're
So
the
it's,
only one.
by our covenants,
I just
we
sit
are,
here and listen, I never saw $15.
okay, by our covenants, we
So
are
it's
required to charge.
$17.33 a month then.
No, that's only if you owe the 200. When you start getting into multi-year and other fees, including legal fees charged onto it, it can be a lot more than $2.30.
God, I'm glad I didn't get into accounting.
Welcome to don't pay your bills. That's what the psychology we're talking about. Is I will never understand, and like I said, I started to say, Logan can back me up. The moment I hit people with that $100 fee to go to small claims court, probably 3/4 of them pay that month
Right.
to try to get that fee removed.
Well,
It's just
we
like they
did
gave
that
it
after
to
2 months.
Well, the interest on one of your others I'm looking up, the very first one I scrolled down and clicked, the interest that the association is taking in is $19.48 to the $15 that we charge as the administrative.
Because based on the outstanding, this charge the interest on the outstanding balance, or is that an accrued interest?
It's a compound interest each month.
And so the longer you go without paying, the higher your interest rate is going to be.
There's also, Mike, to speak to the question you asked, you're now pitting neighbor against neighbor as well. You know, one of our roles is to allow you guys, we handle the dirty work, the collections, dealing with the violations, so that when you guys are out walking your dog down the street, you don't have to jump in the bushes because your neighbor's coming at you.
They still think it's us. No
Right.
matter what, they still think it's us.
But there's, and also, when you're dealing with collections, it falls under a federal statute called the Fair Debt Practices Collection Act.
Familiar with it.
And they have to be followed very strictly. And if you're not familiar with them and you make some missteps, the association can be sued.
Exactly.
And our folks are very well versed in that. We've gotten a lot of legal guidance. That's why it's also important to deal with everybody the same way, not be arbitrary. Because if you're arbitrary and say, well, I know this is my neighbor, I'll give them a little bit of grace here, but this person over here, I'm not, you're setting yourself up to be sued. So it's always best to allow those things to be handled by a third party if you can, which is.
That's why we have the hardship committee. So we would be out.
And the board would not be on it.
As long as somebody from CMD First Residential sits on that hardship committee, I
No.
think we're good.
No,
No, it should be
it's,
Because we.
totally
we-
separate.
Oh, you're saying
It's a
we
hardship.
put some money in the hardship
Mhm.
fund to pay
voted for by the membership.
admin fees.
Yeah.
Well, there you go back to.
The members,
people who
we
pay
asked
their
them,
bills, paying for those who
but
don't.
we asked
But
them and then
they voted on it.
they voted on it.
Yeah.
And I went through the attorney to make sure that was legal.
So they must not have a problem.
Well, thankfully, and I'm just looking at it right now, there are 8 unit owners. Thankfully, with what I'm about to say sounds odd, but I'll say it anyway. Thankfully, there are 8 owners in the community that owe the association over $1,000. But of those 8, 2 of them are marked PP, which is payment plan. And only one of them is in small claims court action. So the system is working, and it's very
Because of
high.
her.
Because of her, absolutely. But it's very high maintenance. It's a lot of hand-holding, a lot of touching, and some of you have probably seen some of my emails that I send out. Comply with Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is very tough. I can't send someone an email and say, pay your bill, here's your copy of your stuff. I have to give them these vague carrots to get them to return my message. So it's important that you contact me concerning messages or letters sent to your association, those sorts of things. You've probably seen some of those. And those get their attention. And I will try my best to get them on a payment plan that works with your board. And if that doesn't work, then at least you've now got another thing that you can show the judge if necessary.
Exactly, and I think the judge does appreciate that we have taken steps, you know, to actually allow them a payment plan. And they,
Yeah.
by the time we get to court, these people have been contacted repeatedly by both FSR and by me. So there's, I mean, I hate to say there's not a lot of sympathy, but, you know, I don't go in front of the judge and worry that,
There's something new.
you know, I'm gonna get in trouble.
New afternoon.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, this process can be followed after Rebecca leaves, you know, you do the same thing, you file a lien, except the attorney's doing it instead of
You
Rebecca.
have to have, right.
And you take it,
And
just
they'll
go back,
discuss
it's a lot more expensive, but
Yeah. We're just fortunate to have Rebecca.
Well, we have how many owners are sending her thank you notes and fruit baskets about her
That's right.
filing the liens back for free. You know, but we do that at all the other communities that we manage, and the fee is between $165, I think $225, depending on what attorney you work with, sometimes more. But it also includes the eventual release of the lien. So another part of the process is when the owner pays these down, we go through the accounts continuously, and if you know, this gentleman here, you know, pays off his balance, we're going to take that lien off as quickly as possible so that his, you know, title is not dirty, and so he can go on with his life.
Like a UCC 1, UCC 3 scenario.
Not familiar.
That's a UCC 1, Universal Commercial Code. When you file a UCC 1, you put a lien on equipment, for example, and then once it's paid, you file a UCC 3 to release the lien.
Yeah, in this case, it's on the property deed itself. And in theory, these come up during the sales process. I say in theory, they always come up if the title search is done properly at the attorney's office, which most of them do.
Now, you mentioned to attorneys, you have an attorney that you use or recommend for HOAs, or?
Well, we have several that we work with in town that have, some of which have particular skills, particular set of skills, and some of them have just worked with collections. We work with one who exclusively works with our communities because it's very mechanical for him.
Can we ask who that is?
Kenneth Inman. Kenneth will handle these lien filing things that Rebecca's doing now for free. His fee is $165. He will take the accounts through small claims court. There's an out-of-pocket cost that none of your owners experience, again, because of Rebecca. His is $90 out of pocket, but he also charges the delinquent owner. So if he goes to court and he gets 2 or 3 phone calls and a couple of grumpy emails from the owner, he may bill $600, $700 with the legal fees payable by that delinquent owner. So anything that we do, and that's we all listen to this table, do to work with the owner to avoid getting to that level, obviously, the quicker the association gets paid and the less my hypothetical person has to be burdened by paying lawyers.
Makes sense.
The reason I asked that, I was interested, we'd had an attorney in the past that was a little bit more expensive.
Just so we did.
Yeah, the commas and bills.
My phone's dying.
The only thing I'd say, Mike, is that there's no way the association could do it for $15. That's all I want to say. I used to be in it for 40 years. You can't do it for $15. Number one, you'll be in trouble because you'll say the wrong thing to the wrong person, and it'll come back to haunt you. So I think it's being a homeowner, I'd just as soon not have to pay for everybody else. But if you did a spreadsheet and found out it was cheaper the other way, you might want to look at that. But without the information, but this board cannot do it for $15 a month. She can't do it. She is doing it for nothing, so she ought to get $15 a month.
$165 for
Yeah, but I mean, they do it for 15 and it's done professionally, it's done legally and everything else, and it'll keep you out of trouble. And I don't see you can't go anywhere in the world and get it cheaper than that. So that's just my comment.
I'll be honest with you, I used to work with collections on the state side, and they always told us it cost at least $10 per letter. Every time you send a letter, just one letter, just downright cost, $10. So, and that was back in the 90s.
But that's what I say, by the time, we send a letter out, then that's gonna prompt a phone call. We've got at least 15 minutes of a conversation with the homeowner. But I promise you, we're not making any money on that. We're upside down, really, on that.
We just prefer they pay.
Yeah, exactly.
And we wonder why in the world probably the lowest HOA fee in the world. Well, they keep paying that few dollars on an annual basis.
So y'all don't get that $15 a month until we collect the money from
The contract, the way the contract is written, it is earned as we do the work. But I opted in, I think 2014, 15 to, shortly after we started working with Mike's, I call it the old board, at that point we said, on day one I think, let's just make it, let's do it. I don't want there to be any impression that we are trying to milk the owners for tenancy. So let's put our own skin in the game. Let's only sweep it, and that's what we call it internally. Let's only sweep it when, if we have 3 owners pay, let's sweep 3 fees, 3 owners fees. I think it's fair.
Yeah. So would you be open to negotiating the terms and conditions of your contract to say that we're never out that 15 if the homeowner doesn't pay?
Well, for whatever it's worth, Mike, when we put the proposal together for this community this time, I reduced our management fee considerably. And there was another number in there that was reduced as well. I don't remember what that was. Oh, pardon me, I'm not put you on the spot. I don't know if you remember. There was another thing that we reduced in that proposal, other than the management fee.
Maybe per hour legal, I think there was a change in, I don't know. But it went down over like $350 a month in management fees.
Yeah.
So,
And we appreciate that, but my question was, and this is going back to things I hope we got over by now, can you do it? I mean, can you do it? Because we had problems just a couple of years ago, and we were squabbling. So my concern is, can you submit it as something that you can't realistically do, and are we going to run into problems?
Let's call it, the only negotiation that happened with this was between me and Dennis. I'm going to call it like it is. Dennis said, Steve, you can't give away what you're doing here. And my response was, we've been working with these guys for a very long time, and I don't want, use the name, I don't want the old crown up in my business. I don't want another management company in here. I don't want to fail at my telephone work. I don't want to fail at any aspect of what we do. But let's demonstrate our loyalty to you as you have to us for all these years and reduce our management fee. Can we do it? Yeah, we can do and keep doing what we're doing. Can we do what we do and then cut another $5 out of our administrative fees? We're not going to go broke, but it doesn't make a whole lot of financial sense to cut any lower than we already have. We're trying to keep the fees. I don't like this administrative fee anymore than you guys. When I've gotten paid my own bills late for whatever reason, I don't like to see that. I know no one else likes to receive it, but I also don't want to ask the rest of the neighborhood to pay that in the form of a higher management fee. But I've given it a pretty solid squeeze, and I hope we can convince you to give us another opportunity to renew with you.
And I have one more question. I should know this, but I've been a little sidetracked lately. This is a, how is this set up? Is this a 1-year contract?
18 months.
we're looking at 18 months, yeah.
And then after 18 months, is it renewable?
Well, what they have had in the past is a CPI increase. That's something, obviously, at the end of 18 months, we'd all have to renegotiate.
Okay, that's fine.
Or we could go with a longer-term contract, but we kind of had a temper tantrum over that before.
I don't mind an optional renewal, which, is, maybe that's something we should talk about.
I mean, at the end of the term of the contract, we would do just what we've done here. We can either, the board would have options, sit down with us and negotiate with us renewal provisions, or you guys could certainly say we're not going to renew and we're going to go in a different direction, or whatever the case may be. Obviously, we'd be hopeful that we can sit down and discuss it, or we may come to you and say, you know what, we're good, let's just, if you guys are okay, we'll just roll it over. So it just depends, a lot can happen in 18 months, particularly with the economy and what's going on, what the expectations are of us. Those can change. You want more services from us than what you're currently getting, or even less. And so all of that can impact the price, but then in 18 months, we can sit down and discuss it, absolutely.
One of the components of the admin fee that's undesirable from my perspective is the fact that if our member doesn't pay it, you still get it from us. So I just asked, I didn't really get I think I got the answer, which is no, but I'll ask again. Will you negotiate your terms and conditions in your contract to where you get that $15 admin fee that you're charging directly to our member if they pay it? And if they don't, we're not on the hook to pay it for them.
So what you're asking us to do is possibly work for free.
Yes.
In some cases.
Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate.
Well, Melanie,
How would
that
you
might.
not get it? That would be my question,
Well,
because
here's
at
my
some
problem.
point, there's a lien, right?
Well, no, this is
So
my
you
problem
get
with
it.
that is I'm not going to turn over my collections to them. No offense. I don't want to have them say, okay, well, if I'm not going to collect this money unless I go out and get if we're telling, FSR, you're on tap for it, then I fully expect them to say, fine, then we'll hire our attorney, we'll charge it to the homeowner, we'll start the foreclosure proceedings because we need to collect our money. We can't drive people out of business.
Exactly.
So it's like either we're responsible for that collection policy, or we say, fine, let them have the collection policy, and we tell our members, you don't pay, whatever they do to you, hey, we're good, because we don't want to pay $15 a month on the off chance there's a bankruptcy.
It's not, they probably don't understand it. It's not the HOA that's charging them the $15.
Correct.
But it's a management company that the HOA board contracts with that does that, so we're responsible.
But eventually, you would get it back from the homeowner.
See, funny enough, like you say, we're responsible, I don't feel like we're responsible because those people have the option very easily not
To
to have
pay their bill.
Exactly.
But it's not just paying bills, it's something
Have
that
we
they
ever
get
had a
fined, and if
case
there's
like-
ever a future board that does silly stuff
Like he's
again,
talking
like
where you didn't collect from someone.
Yes,
fining
we've
people
had some
for
bankruptcies.
grass growing in the cracks of their driveway, which happened several years
And
ago,
who pays that?
then
We
it's $15, and with interest and penalties, it equates to more than the annual dues. If it's $15 plus the interest and penalties.
Yeah, but there ain't no way they can do that, and there ain't no way this board can go ahead and charge them now, I'm proving that. The last board that was on, was
Yeah, if there's a
charging
bankruptcy,
prices
we
and
get
stuff.
stuck with the bill, but.
In our bylaws, it don't say we can go ahead and do that, so.
All right, I think we should wrap up this
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah.
conversation and let Dennis and Steve go.
Yeah, thank you both for coming.
Thank you for your comments, and I really appreciate it. We take this very seriously.
Y'all live here in Charleston?
I did. I live in Charlotte.
Just curious.
I thought they wore socks in Charlotte. That's a Charleston thing. You're trying to.
I'm from Florence. That's where I was born and raised.
That explains.
Let me just say this. Originally at the last meeting, I talked about that $15 fee. But after hearing these guys and all that, what they have to do, God bless you, keep it like that.
25.
Thank you, Tom. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. Good to see you.
Steve, Dennis.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's put a face to the email name.
About midnight, it's going to get next week. $22,000 to charge them, somebody brought to you, and
Now, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, quickly. I'm off for trip wrapping, I'm tired.
And this just one.
I like my biggest day. Yeah, Dennis? Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man.
Tell Lauren, your neighbor, I said hello.
Good seeing you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you, appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right, approval of minutes, we don't have our secretary with us. Financial report, Rebecca's gonna deliver the financial report.
Okay.
Real quick.
Real quick, yeah, basically, the AR has gone up, we do have some people with fines, and that's why that's increased. We had, once Jana gets back, I need her to notarize court filings, and then I will be going to small claims court.
All right,
And we've got roughly $250,000 across two accounts, right?
240.
Well, with that 21,000, we have 144 in the one and
a little bit over 100 in the other, so it's a little bit under that.
I think it's 103 is what I looked at, it's 103 in the,
We took 3,500 out to pay landscape
Reserve.
architect, so that was that transfer. And if they're gonna be doing more work, I think we're gonna owe them more money.
Oh, yes,
Landscape.
they will.
So, yeah, we'll have to
Well,
look
they
at
can charge us for this, right?
No, for the extra.
This was included, but that covered all the work. If they're gonna be
We
doing
made some
some more work
changes,
on
right.
the fifth entrance, they're
I
gonna
think
See
see
what
that
it is.
That'd be a good idea.
Maybe some of it'll be cheaper. Maybe fences are expensive.
All right, the architectural review board report is not on here, but I was gonna say, we had 2 or 3 houses, went through new construction in Hillsborough, and they got denied, so they gotta work on their architectural drawings to get it up to the covenants. Other than that, it's,
They clearing 2 lots of it.
yeah, they got approval to clear it, but they don't have approval to build a house yet. So, they have to work through some.
What about the house that keeps getting delayed being,
It's getting built, they putting brick on it.
Yeah, the brick veneer's up. It's there.
I haven't driven by it lately.
It's slowly.
It's slow as Christmas.
you talking about one in Harefield, at that corner?
Yeah. I just haven't driven
All
down.
right, old business, discuss updated landscape architect plan. I think the presentation was good. The only thing is that we're gonna address the comment about the still shadow and Beast Ferry entrance and try to add pizzazz to it.
Are we, I don't know
And
where
we
this
still are
falls.
going to do with Hunter's Forest because the wall's down. Is that going to be covered by?
It'll be, what do you mean? I don't think we'll update the rendering as,
Well, half the wall's down. We don't have to put it back, are we?
no,
Okay.
but it'll reflect in, when we submit, for,
Shouldn't they pay for anything that we, well, not everything, but if we just knock that, I mean, if they're gonna fix, I don't know. Seems like we ought to get some cost out of that.
Okay, have you talked with the insurance company at all?
yes, I talked to the insurance.
Are
We
they
have,
expecting bids, or what are they expecting?
do they have
Are
one?
there quotes?
No, I haven't had, I just had a conversation with him and I got a claim number. And so the adjuster needs to, I need to talk to the adjuster. Or I thought you were gonna talk to the adjuster.
You just, we're gonna get it.
I was gonna pass it off to somebody else.
Yeah, I was ready for it.
Yeah, no, I have it great.
Martina, I don't know if this is new business, old business, but you did check some references of both CMG First Residential and?
Yes, let's talk under that about new business.
Okay.
We'll talk about the management company. Engagement letter for 2018 audit,
It's been sent,
it's been sent.
so they got the engagement letter. I still haven't heard from them. I just touched base with Logan today. They're gonna start the audit soon.
Are they local?
I'm sorry?
Are they local?
Yeah, I guess he did.
Where
With
are
his
they?
boss.
They're located in North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina?
Yeah,
It's in Charlotte, right?
Charlotte.
Okay.
Our auditors in Charlotte, North Carolina?
Mhm.
Why can't we ever hire someone local?
I got rejected by
South
several,
Carolina?
and if you wanted the cheapest South Carolina price was $5,500. Most of them were 8 to 10.
3 times as expensive.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that. I mean, I think
It's such a simple audit.
I know.
No, an audit's an audit, and there's certain procedures you go through, whether it's a big company or a small company, that's not
And why
expensive.
would Diaz not do it again?
He has gotten out of the business. He was gonna do it for us. He was at $5,500. He was the cheapest South Carolina price. Most of the ones I contacted just out and out rejected me, saying it's not work that they're interested in doing.
And how much are we paying the North Carolina company?
2,800.
Are they affiliated with First Residential at all?
No, but they did find them. They went to their other associations and
Okay.
found, that's what Logan did. Logan found the cheapest vendor. He does that fairly often.
Okay,
I think, you know what, just going forward, and that's fine, but next time we get an auditor, I think we should have it done by somebody that's not recommended by the management company that does our finances.
And a CPA is a CPA with a license, and they are not going to lie for the sake of a company. They will lose their livelihood. They will go to jail.
All right.
Next, between now and next year, I'm making a list of CPAs and auditors.
You knock yourself out, honey.
I will.
I mean, we got like 5 or 6, right?
I
Yeah.
know, but there's hundreds of them. You know, I'm just, can't believe
5 or
it.
6 that
We
can, the rest
could
are
make
checking.
somebody local, we could fill their pocket with $2,800.
All right, well, we can find somebody.
Yeah,
And understand it's an audit, not a review.
right, it's an audit, I know the difference.
You're in the new business yet?
New business, that's right.
There's a tree on Shadowmoss.
Jared already taken care of it.
109
When did you
Shadowmoss?
take care of it? This morning?
109 Shadowmoss, where's
It's
it?
down where the lamp post that we left by itself. When that
We
was
saw you last night.
yeah, by that pond right there.
Uh,
It's about maybe 5 feet around, and it's dead all the way in the middle, and it's a good storm, we'll probably take it over on something.
Okay, is it a great tree? Do we have to go through the city for this?
It's a gum tree, I think, and it's on, right on the
Oh,
side
it's
of the
going to
building.
we don't need a permit.
Yeah, a gum tree? I
think
got
it's
two
a
in
gum
my
tree.
yard, I'm gonna be submitting something.
John, can you, shoot a picture to me and I'll get Jared ready to.
We need somebody to look at it, I mean, you know,
It's
it's
by
been
the
all inside,
lamppost?
the termites is eating it up pretty good. That's what Mike, you saw me last night, ready today.
I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to Jared.
Okay.
Well, Doug, like, didn't he say that they have a horticulturist or something on staff or something with, that they can look, could they look at it and let us know about it as well, instead of having to pay Jerry to do it, or is Jerry gonna charge?
I mean, it's a pretty large tree, probably 30 feet tall.
Is it dead?
No, it's green right now, but you know, if you look at it, it's hollowed out more the middle of it, and it's, you can stick your hand in it, it's probably, I don't know how bad it's rotting all the way. I just worried about a storm coming, blowing over on somebody else.
An arborist to come take a look at it.
Yeah, it's right there off the road, you know, right on.
It's our property though, right?
It's either our property or the guys next door.
If it's next door, we can't cut it, that's his.
Well, I know, but I think it's our property.
Okay, if it's our property, it's us.
Yeah.
So,
I'll drop it and look at
If you're going out, just right past the light pole, you'll see it right there.
it. I don't think horticulturists will be able to tell us about tree, but I'll ask them.
Oh, they can. Man's tree service told me my tree is gonna die, but Roman won't cut his down. And I didn't believe him until it died.
and we also did have.
He said they were connected.
There were a couple of
He said
trees
the trees
down,
going
they did one on Blairmore as well, they had to cut the canopy on Blairmore, and they got that one that went down behind 109 Shadowmoss, the part of taken care of.
Okay.
Have they mentioned anything about the orphan lamp, any lighting going on that fixture, or we just about to get an orphan lamp light fixture?
I forgot about it. That's not.
Send him a text to remind him.
All right, and then the last thing is to talk about the new business. That's the thing that's been going around the email about the management company. At the last meeting, we decided to invite Steve and Dennis to make a presentation.
That was nice that both of them came too.
Yes.
Especially since we were under the impression only one of them's gonna come. I thought Steve was not gonna come.
Oh, that's what he told me, but I guess he said changes things around.
I would like to bring yet another.
Here's what I'm gonna say. Following our meeting, I was kind of frustrated because we were kind of forced into the management contract due to the cost of it. So I reached out, or they reached out, and they said they could cut their management fee. And so I said, well, give me your best and final offer. And so they came back, Gold Crown, with a lot lower offer. So I said, the board can decide if they want to invite them, if they want to accept the lower offer or not. And
I'd like to
I
hear
think
what
it's
they have to
worth
say.
inviting them for an interview and see what they say. I extended that offer to the other 3 companies that were on Rebecca's list.
I make a motion that we don't discuss nothing about the management companies until we get the minutes from the last meeting or hear the tape. Because I'm not by myself.
I'll say that.
We
Based on the vote that we had,
that we voted for CMG to be our management company. And we put that, and that's supposed to be on your recording.
I'll check the recording.
And if not, I need to see the minutes, and I want to hear the tape before we go any farther with any.
But John, we had also, oh, go ahead, finish.
Okay, and I want a second, did I get a second?
Yeah, it's already said.
Okay.
Okay, are we in the discussion phase now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
we
want to hear
also-
from more than one management company.
Well,
I think we owe it to our neighbors, I think we owe it to ourselves.
Hey, we did.
It may end up being these guys, I wasn't here.
We
Wes,
put it out bids to everybody, and this is what they came back with.
But we
Then all of a
didn't,
sudden,
we didn't go,
somebody called this one management company, and that management company came back and said they could lower the bid.
We should
lower
call
than the
all
lowest
of
we
them.
had.
Like,
How do you earn?
that's inappropriate.
How the hell do you do
It
it?
is not inappropriate to negotiate. We are.
You don't sit there and reveal other people's confidential bids. That's just
Yeah,
inappropriate.
we can't be telling people everything, all the bids.
I still want to hear from you. Whether that happened or not, I still
You
want
don't,
to hear.
That makes
you
it
don't
kinda
tell them what
sleazy.
the bids are, you don't tell them. You say, well,
Well,
is this
evidently,
gonna
somebody
be, like you
took
say, is this gonna be your best and final offer?
Here's the thing, it was my fault I revealed the range of the lowest bid. I didn't say which company it was. I said it was half the cost of the bid that you
My
submitted.
understanding is somebody
That's it.
actually gave them all the details, and that there were other people that heard this on
Who
the phone
said
call.
that?
Would you like to volunteer what you did?
Absolutely, I'd be glad to volunteer, because this is what we decided to do as a board.
We did.
No, we did not decide this as a board, because there was no vote, no
Are you
motion.
gonna let me talk?
No, I'm not going to lie. This was not decided as a board.
You didn't even hear what I said.
I heard it was decided as a board.
You didn't hear what we decided as a board that I was about to tell you.
Good, let me hear what you decided as a board that I was not included in.
Mr.
I'm
President, I make a
gonna
motion.
finish what I'm saying, and if you talk
Can we
over
adjourn
me,
this meeting and let them take this up somewhere else?
if you talk over me.
There's a second.
Second.
No, well, hold
Alright, I'll say
on.
aye.
What are we doing?
Aye.
They adjourn the meeting.
I adjourn the meeting like that,
Yeah, I gotta go.
because we still need to get to a fight here.
Alright.
I need to go.
Okay, Bill.
Good seeing you.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. This reminded me of the board 2 years ago.
I mean, we need to come on the same page. It's not gonna help if they adjourn the meeting.
I just don't, I don't know what Michael did, I don't know what you did, I don't know what you guys did. I was under the